Hello, Daniel. I'm with my group here, and for my group, for the people who doesn't know Daniel, his name is Daniel Puder, MMA fighter, undefeated for a few years. Am I correct?
Undefeated all times, but
All
yes,
right.
yeah, I got in, got out after a few years, and I'm blessed to not be able to get punched in the face for a living.
Nice. So tell me a little bit more. What's the after? Like, should I say like the aftermath of that great career, and now you're focusing on helping young people in let's say uh, let's say tough areas. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so we after I was a professional fighter, I also wrestled for WWE. I was a world weightlifting champion too, and had a great sports career. When I was a kid, I was labeled learning disabled, and I was put in special ed classes, and they told me that I could take extra time to take a test or to do work. That's not real world. And so towards the end of I was going through some fight contract challenges, and towards the end of that, I was like, I'm going to start a nonprofit and mentor kids that are being bullied like I was before I was a fighter, kids that are going through challenges, kids that are in gangs or drugs, whatever. Let's figure out how to solve some of these problems. And
Nice.
I've looked at a lot of nonprofits. None of them that I've ever seen have ever solved the problem. So I'm like, how do we do this as a generation? We've created, millions of people in prison. Foster care has gone through the roof. Kids getting arrested has gone through the roof. Homeless has gone through. Human trafficking is bigger than it's ever been. Um, and so we started our first school in South Florida, Miami. The city, specifically area, was Liberty City.
Yeah,
And
it can be challenging to be there sometimes.
Liberty City, 5 years, 6 years ago, was the most violent neighborhood in South Florida.
Yo.
And yeah, it was. They've cleaned it up. They've been cleaning it up a bunch. They've been doing redevelopments, but it's still challenging. And our goal is to serve kids 6th through 12th grade. I believe we're starting our first elementary school next year, called Monster Truck Academy.
Nice.
And my son loves monster trucks, so I'm inspired by him. And I'm like,
Okay.
we need an academy around like STEM and robotics and like fun for kids to like start thinking outside the box on how to build things and how to destroy things and how to like how things work. So we came in it with a big purpose, and and now it's turned into purpose and profit. And how do we get family offices involved, and how do we get the right financing? And so we're working on some of these things. We just bought our first two properties
Nice.
last year in 11 locations. We're in three states: Arizona, West Virginia, and Florida. And well, we had over 1,900 students, and we graduated over 400 last year. So we're doing really awesome things in communities. I've walked into Fresh Market down here, and one of my students is behind the cash register, right? So it's great to be able to see her at Whole Foods. I walked up to the coffee bar one day, and I was wearing the shirt, and the kid behind the coffee was like, how'd you get that shirt? And I was like, I'm one of the partners. And he's like, no way, I go there. So
That's
it's
funny.
awesome to be able to see our kids working and thriving and doing good. And so yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and we're transforming lives.
Yeah, that's what
Oh,
I
and
like. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll throw one more thing. The best part about this is it's state funded. So we're state funded for profit schools that are here to serve kids and to make a big impact in their lives.
Yeah, I really like that about you because it's so important for me to have this discussion on top of it today with you because as a successful person, not just businessman or professional athlete, it's for me it's super important to connect with people that they about the importance of giving back when you're successful. And you're the perfect example of that, and we need more people like you.
Thank you.
Trust me. But look, talking about that purpose, I'm pretty sure you meet some people that they just do business, and it's hard sometimes to not convince them, but just to talk about your mission, your goal behind all that. But if I'm asking you, what was your idea when you started that? I know you shop for different nonprofit and everything, but uh, is that something that you wish have access when you were younger, or what's the motivation behind all that?
So, I mean, I had really good mentors when I was a kid,
Okay.
and my wrestling coaches, Mr. Lee, and then Dave Levins, and my other coaches, Dan, and I had some really good coaches in middle and high school. Um, what I look at is a lot of other people don't have that. Like I have two parents that raised me. A lot of kids don't have that. And so how do we add value to like your kids and my son will be having to hire those people or pay for those people when they get older, right? Like pay taxes. You're gonna have to pay for people that are homeless. Like, so it's interesting to me to look at the purpose side of it. And I didn't want to do the schools through a nonprofit. We actually have one nonprofit school in West Virginia, but I
Okay.
didn't want to do them in nonprofit wise because I looked at how do we. Number one, I dislike grants. Grants are for building but not maintaining. And
Okay.
then the second part is I um, didn't want to keep asking people for money to fund something, to fund impact, because a lot of nonprofits will throw a fundraiser and they'll spend 50% of their money on raising the money. And so it's like, so I'm like, how do I do this where it's sustainable and where we can make impact long term? We can do the right thing without having to spend a lot of time on the sustainability finance piece of it.
Yeah, I really like that. Really, really like that. I wish it had more people doing that, but look, it's always awesome to talk about that. And what's your next step with those? You told me you just bought two land. What's the next step in your project?
Yeah, so we bought two plots of land in Arkansas, and then we just bought two buildings, one in Florida, one in West Virginia. Got some really good deals. I was super excited about them. And then we are the next step is I'm working with a couple of different people that want to help us buy a lot of properties quicker.
Okay.
Because buildings is my biggest challenge, depending on the state, depending on regs, what it has to be zoned for. So that's one. And the second piece is finance the actual school piece of it. It costs about $300,000 to launch a school, which is not much.
Okay. Yeah.
So we've offered it to a bunch of people. Next year's lineup looks really good. Um, it looks like we're going to have 9 schools, and they're all verbally committed for funding. So there'll be a couple of really big names that we launch. This year we launched the Mike Tyson Academy in Arizona. So we
Nice.
partnered with him on one, so people can look up Mike Tyson School and see what we're up to. But I'm really excited because we're building with other brands, and when we have about 10 of these brands, I think it's going to take 2 more years. We have
Okay.
10 of these brands, then I think that people are going to pay a lot more attention to really transforming what our education system is.
Look, I really like that. If you don't mind, I will share some information on my newsletter attached with that webinar today. Uh, and what's the best way? Let's say some of my people will accept to work with you, or what do you propose in return, or what's the strategy here?
Yeah, so I mean, our strategy is to have. Are you saying in the business piece of it or in the contact piece?
Both.
Okay,
Let's
so
talk about
so
both.
if anybody ever wants to contact us, you can go on my LinkedIn, Daniel Puder. It's Puder. Fastest way to message me, or through your contact list. I'll give you an email. It's
Okay.
dp@mylifemypower.org. So
Okay.
that's my nonprofit email. That's simple way. Our goal is to have 100 schools in the next 5 years. So it's just one piece at a time, and it's getting the right funder one piece at a time. And we're looking for bigger funders now to be able to create bigger impact and be able to build schools a little bit faster.
Okay. And let's say, is that a business proposition, or it's a nonprofit thing? So just
Nope,
tell me a
it's
little
for
bit more.
profit. Yeah, it's for profit. So every school has its own LLC. So if somebody want to invest in one or 100 or be a part of the whole group, we're totally open to ideas. But we know that every school costs about $300,000 to operate or
Okay.
to build. out the business before the state starts funding us, which is, and they fund us, which is great. So on average per kid, we get funded about $8,000 per kid. The difference between us and a lot of other private schools, two things. One, we accept all kids. There's some kids we haven't gotten paid for, but we accept them.
Okay.
And the goal is to serve our community. And the reason why we haven't gotten paid for them is because they're in foster care, they're, homeless. I mean, like literally, like we invest, we look into this stuff. There's not that many anymore. We have a great process of getting them signed up and getting the scholarships done. But we accept all kids. Unlike a lot of other schools, they, might charge 14,000 a year. The state only pays 8, so they're expecting you to pay the other
The
$6,000. And
difference, yeah.
a lot of people can't do that. The second thing that makes us different is we do shorter days for our kids. Now, if you need more time, you can definitely stay. But we do a total of 900 hours over 180 days. But we do 4 or 5 hours a day. And so there's a big difference on going to school for an 8-hour day. I think it's more, my personal opinion, daycare, is a good thing,
Exactly.
childcare. And some people need it. And then there's kids like ours who are a little more independent. Majority of our kids in high school, but we go down to 6th grade. And so what we do is we do a morning shift, we do an afternoon shift. And then some of our seniors that are on our grad program or that are just private pay, they're online. So per seat in our schools, we're not just making $8,000 now. We can make up to triple that amount.
Nice. So
So it's
so let's say I want to help you, and I'm gonna get some returns there.
yeah. So that's the best part, profit and purpose, right? Like how do we mix both? What we've been doing is we've been doing with one of our family offices they invest into schools, and then we within 3 to 5 years we pay them back. And then we pay them interest and then they get equity within the schools that they invest in. And so we've raised almost couple $1 million so far on that, and they're just going to turn it over once we pay them back and put it into another school. So I'm really excited about that, and where we're going with the family offices.
That's nice. So look, I'm just doing a small part here by present you to my 40,000 plus accredited investor. But for me, it's super important to discuss and expose what great people are doing around me. And look, I don't know what's the outcome of that, but we never know. If we don't spread the word, we'll never know.
I agree 100%. And I really appreciate you putting me on this today. It's going to be exciting to see you at the Family Office Club, where I'll be one of the hosts. I'll be the host of the athlete panel there. So if anybody's coming to the Family Office Club, come by and say hi to me and tell me that you watched this awesome interview.